Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna. A rivalry that everybody remembers from Formula One, their time together at McLaren, and also Prost in the Ferrari and the Williams, fighting with Senna for many world championships. And many remember the coming togethers that they would have over the years. But something that's quite often overlooked is that for 10 years, nobody else could win in Monte Carlo. Now, Monaco, one of the most difficult, tight and twisty street circuits that there is. And for two men to win every race for 10 years in a row is quite exceptional. It began in 1984, a wet race with Prost on pole, Mansell in second. Senna had qualified 13th. He was in Tolman, which later went on to become Benetton, then Renault, now Alpine. But very, very wet. Senna, the rainmaster. There was an accident at the first corner, inevitably, really. Alain Prost had taken the lead of the race as Niki Lauda was on the move, proving that overtaking is possible at Monte Carlo. He passed Alboreto and then he got past René Arnoux. Alboreto, he would have a spin. Lots of people would have spins. This hurt Alboreto's chase as Senna was chasing down Keke Rosberg here for 6th place, bouncing his car through the chicanes there. Nigel Mansell, he hit the wall. He kept going, but he would later retire. Senna had made his way up, and now around the outside, just before Saint-Devote, he got past Niki Lauda. Now Senna began chasing down Prost for the lead. Prost was waving every time he came past the start-finish line, waving at the officials saying, "This is too dangerous, it's too wet, stop the race." And as you can see here, Senna had really caught up with Prost, but the red flag came out. It was a red flag in those days in the 80s. The red flag came out and Prost stopped. Senna, he went by as if to say, no, let's carry on. Perhaps if they did, Prost could have won the World Championship because he got 4.5 points for the win, whereas he would have gotten 6 for a 2nd place, and that would have been enough to win him in the World Championship. But anyway, 1985 saw Senna on pole, Mansell 2nd, and Alain Prost was starting in 5th place. As the lights went out, and away they went, Michele Alboreto here in the Ferrari, he tucked in behind Mansell, followed him closely. This time they managed to all get through, but here's Alboreto, look at that, getting past Nigel Mansell. And Alboreto began chasing down Senna and eventually got past and opened up a lead. Then there was a big accident. Big accident. This is Riccardo Patrese in the Alfa Romeo here and Nelson Piquet in the Brabham. They crashed, they dumped oil on the track. Alboreto hit the oil, he ran on and he got going, but Prost had gotten through into the lead. Alboreto would have to pit. He made his way back through the field, but no one was going to catch Alain Prost. And he took the win in 1985 on the way to his first World Championship. Alain Prost already at McLaren here. Senna, he was in a Lotus. He didn't finish this race. Alboreto 2nd there, and Elio De Angelis in the other Lotus. In 1986, Prost had the pole from Mansell. This time Senna was in 3rd. Prost led, and Ayrton Senna got past Nigel Mansell and began to sort of pull away, try and stretch his legs on Mansell and catch Prost. Didn't want Prost to get away. Prost would eventually pit, and Senna then took the lead. Prost caught Senna, but Senna, he made his car very, very wide. This is the John Player Special Lotus. He made it wide. Prost could not find a way past Senna. But Senna was running out of tyres. Prost had fresh rubber. This was still quite early in the race, and Senna would duck into the pits for a fresh set of tyres, and Alain Prost would take the lead. Senna would claw his way back, lapping some back markers there, and Piquet and Boutsen, but Prost went on to win the race in 1986. His third Monte Carlo victory in a row. 1987, Mansell finally got a pole position at Monaco after a few second places. Senna was second, Prost started fourth, and Mansell led from the start from Senna, and he began to pull away, did Nige, as they all tried to file through at Saint-Devote. Eventually Senna would catch Mansell. He caught him and he overtook him. Nigel was suffering from a broken exhaust here. Nigel really did have terrible luck at Monte Carlo. He would pit, they would change the tyres in the hope of something, but they found the cracked exhaust, and that was the end of Nigel's 1987 race. He never did win Monaco, poor old Nige. Very unlucky. Prost, he would retire. He had an engine problem. He pulled it off to the side. And Ayrton Senna was really unchallenged after that, as he came home for his first win in Monte Carlo, first of what would turn out to be 6. As he rounded the Rascasse there, Japanese flags waving because he's powered by a Honda engine here. And also, this was the first win for an active suspension car. And Senna on the podium. He would always spray the police officer. You can see he goes after him here. Probably the most danger that man will ever face in his life. 1988 saw Senna take the pole from Prost. This was the year that he beat Prost in qualifying by 1.4 seconds. And Senna led away, and Gerhard Berger managed to take second place off of Prost at the first corner. Now Senna, he would just get the power down in his McLaren Honda and check out. Well, Prost would find it difficult. As he did in 86, he would find it difficult to get past Gerhard Berger, but he did manage it. He did get through on the main straight and began storming after Senna, but Senna had slowed down, he had calmed down, he had lost concentration, and he had lost the car, and he had put it in the barriers, and he was furious with himself. He went straight to his home in Monte Carlo. He didn't go back to the pits, much like Kimi would do when he just went to his yacht. The one year Senna went home and had to think about just how exactly he did that, and probably vowed to himself he'll never do it again. This left Prost out front. Once he was in front, no one was going to catch the McLaren of 88. And he took the checkered flag, and with it, the champagne. In 1989, Senna again had the pole from Prost, again by 1.1 seconds. And not much happened in this race either. I'm afraid to say Prost had second place. Senna stormed off into the lead, pulled out a gap on Prost, who in turn would start pulling out a gap on the rest of the field, following his teammate, trying to pressure Senna into a mistake. This is quite a funny moment here. This is the Chasers in the Dallara trying to go up the inside of Piquet in the Lotus, and well, that was your fault. No, it was your fault. Caused a bit of a traffic jam. Even the leaders coming round to lap them got stuck in the traffic jam here. Monte Carlo. But although Prost was second, Senna was largely unchallenged for the race, and he came through to take another great victory at the Principality. we go. That time he almost got the royal family as well there, Prince Albert. And then he chased down the fans and the police. Now in 1990, Prost had moved to Ferrari, and this time was second place to Ayrton Senna, but only by 0.4 of a second. And Senna led from Prost, but here at Mirabeau, Jean Alain in the Tyrrell, he snuck down the inside of Prost. Berger thought he could follow, and well, it turned out he couldn't. And we had another Monte Carlo traffic jam. So they all tried to file through. The race was red flagged. Prost, he got a lift back to the pits, jumped in the spare car and would take the restart. And it was a replay of the first start. Senna stormed off into the distance. Prost, weary this time, he covered off Jean Alain. The professor was not going to be caught out twice. Covering him off there into the Mirabeau. But he unfortunately would have to retire. He had a problem with his car. He brought it into the pits. It wasn't something they could solve, and he would retire. Now Senna, he carried on. He was untouchable. He did slow down towards the end, and Jean Alain in the Tyrrell managed to catch up. But Senna was just nursing the car home for another fantastic victory, largely unchallenged victory at Monte Carlo. And young Jean Alain in a Tyrrell, second place at Monte Carlo. 1991 saw another Tyrrell, this time Stefano Modena on the front row, lining up alongside Ayrton Senna. Alain Prost in the Ferrari. Yeah, Ferrari were having a tough year in 1991. Prost qualifying 7th. Senna, he just ran into a massive lead and almost ran into a marshal. Very, very dangerous there. Tom Price was killed when he struck a marshal at Kyalami. Very, very close. There had been an incident at Sandovat, and the marshal was just retrieving something that had come off one of the cars. Meanwhile, Mansell stalked Prost. There had been a lot of retirements, and this became the race for second place after the pit stops. Mansell went into the tunnel behind, and then slingshot past Prost, hit the brakes, dropped the anchor, and he got the move done at the chicane. Prost came in for new tyres, and the team lost one of the rear wheel nuts, went behind the car, underneath the car. 1991 was definitely not Alain Prost's year, but it was for Ayrton Senna.
I'm very satisfied with the result, of course. It's a great victory, and I would say nothing. I had some problems, but I would say nothing, because what it matters is what we achieve in the end, is the result, and it's the victory that counts. Another 10 points for the championship. But for sure, to race here in Monte Carlo, almost 2 hours race, it's very hard physically, because it's bumpy and it hurts a lot, your shoulders, your neck, and so on. And if you have also to change gears, it really hurts. But I won, and I'm happy, and that's it.
So 1992, and this time it was Mansell on pole from his teammate Riccardo Patrese, with Senna in third place. And the Williams car this year was by far and away the best car on the grid. This was the beginning of Williams' dominance, really, in the early 90s. Mansell stormed off into the lead. Senna managed to get past Patrese at the first corner, but Mansell, he was gone. Senna doing his best to hang on, because he knew anything can happen at Monte Carlo, and usually does. This is a long race, and Mansell had to pit. He suspected a puncture. Let's hear what Senna and Nigel had to say.
We had a longer pit stop than normal, and as I came out the pit, I could see Ayrton go by, and I knew then that the race was probably lost. But as you can see from the last 10 laps, we gave it everything we could and more, and his car was just too wide to get past.
Once, the last 5-6 laps, I realized I was in the lead. I had nothing else to give. The tires were completely worn out. They were good for the whole race, but they were worn out at the end. There was no grip. And he had new tires. He was coming for everything. So I knew he would be in for a major one the last 3 laps. But it was exciting, but very difficult because he was several seconds faster than me for every lap. And I had no grip to put the power down, so it was like on ice driving around. And fortunately, I think we were only 3 or 4 laps that way.
Yeah, Nigel, he tried his best here, but he just could not get past Senna. Senna making that McLaren wide again. Remembering his battles with Prost in '86. This time, there were only 8 laps to go when Nigel came out of the pits. So Senna didn't have to hold Nigel for too long, but Nigel was stalking. He was all over the place, looking for a way through, but he couldn't find one. And Senna took yet another Monte Carlo victory. Running off 10 years with 1993, Senna, he would start from 3rd place, Prost on pole, and some young bloke in a Benetton called Michael Schumacher was in 2nd place, yeah? Prost led from Senna, but as we looked at a replay of the start, oh, Prost, he jumped the start there. He would have to come into the pits and serve a 10-second stop-and-go penalty. Prost very, very frustrated. Got it going, and off they went. Unfortunately, Schumacher, who was in the lead at this point, he had a problem with the car. He would have to retire. There was a hydraulic leak. Fluid spilt out onto the engine gearbox. And that left Senna in the lead, and with Prost miles back, Senna again largely unchallenged. And he came home to win yet another Monte Carlo Grand Prix, making it 10 years of him and Prost dominating Monte Carlo. A rivalry that ended in friendship, in fact, with Senna and Prost here. This was the last race of '93, the last race that they'd all raced together. And it ended in friendship, and unfortunately neither would ever race in Formula 1 again. Senna obviously was killed in '94, and Prost, he retired. Well guys, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did, and subscribe if you want to see more. And yeah, we'll catch you in the next one.